seems like it's been a long time since we've had a chat. Let's see who's in first of all. I'm hoping the comments are going to work. Let's have a look, and could you just say hello in the comments so we can see who is here? It would be great for you to introduce yourselves. Let's have a look. Here we are. I'm assuming that you guys are as hot as me. Aaron, hi. Josh, hi. Nice to see you guys. Thanks to the gorgeous weather today, my plan, and you'll be glad to hear this. Anushka, hi. Meme Master, hello. It's working. Good. I've always got to remember, because I'm using a slightly fancy microphone and it needs something called phantom power, which is a little button that I press, and it's very easy to forget. So, hi Anushka, hi everyone. It's great to have you here. You'll be delighted to know I'm not going to ramble on and talk at length on anything today. Hi Elliot. I'm simply going to get through it, and hopefully I can do this in about 15 minutes. That's the grand plan. It's helped somewhat by the fact that today's task M3, I think it's a really straightforward one. So I'm going to go through this. Obviously, any questions, if I see anything pop up in the chat, just type it in as it occurs to you, and I can stop and go through it. But I reckon this is actually quite straightforward. So the plan today is Unit 6 M3, and to get this in by the end of the week. I guess a bit of an overview is probably quite handy. So you can see this is the document with everything on it. Things to notice that we are at M3, which I can't even find myself now. Yeah, at the bottom in the middle, M3, okay? Today is about evidence communication with the client. I'll talk to you about that, agreeing adaptations and making adaptations. And to be honest with you, that is all there is. So this will not be a hugely long live stream today. And you can see on the bottom right of the purple rectangle that once we get M3 done, we've only got 3 more left to do. Now, those of you who are here, and I think, hi Kane, how are you? Nice to see you. I think particularly those of you that are here, I do not want to prevent you from getting this done this term if you want to, all right? You can see on the top right there, I've slightly changed the due dates, which means we're going to leave 2 hanging over until September. But if you do get this done earlier, there's plenty that you can do towards either Unit 2 or towards Unit 15 or 17. And Unit 15 is going to involves you learning to use, to create a game. So some time spent, for want of a better word, fiddling around with game software that you're going to use and figuring out the basics of it would actually be time really well spent. So even if you finish early, there's plenty of other stuff to do. But you guys who are here, you've been absolutely on it, and your work's been outstanding. So it's a real pleasure to help you through this process. So let's jump back in here, have a look at M3. Let's have a look at this nice and large. Here we go. You certainly don't need to see that face. Right, so let's get through this and have a look at the next part. Like I said to you, M3 is really easy. This is the part that I've taken from the specification, the marking guidance. Provide evidence of meeting, discussions, or communications with the client. That's the first thing. I've broken it into bullet points just to make it slightly less less of a vast chunk of text. Identify the adaptations the client wanted and what was agreed. And that's thinking about P4, which you've just done. A clear statement of refinements to design and to your design and possible implications. And then you make changes to the design followed by the client, following the client review, which you've done, which was P4. And then any negotiations that you've had. And changes should be clearly documented. So that, I'm guessing, makes some kind of a sense. But I wanted to do the absolute sort of, the most obvious overview of what you have to do. You've been given changes by Justin that you should make to your design. You're simply going to email the client and put those changes in your own words. Now, the more forward-thinking of you will go, well, hang on, the client's telling me what he wants, so why do I need to confirm? In business, this is something that you would do just to make sure that what the client told you they wanted is what they actually want. So putting the changes that have been requested into your own words, not a big job, but putting those changes into your own words is in a way of ensuring that when it comes to you handing the product over and it comes to payday, which is a very important day for everyone, that actually what the client wanted is what the client's got. Because very often you're dealing with these clients, and of course the reason they're employing you is because you're the expert, they're not. Justin is a guy who owns a driving school, so he's not an expert. So you state the changes, you make the changes, you show before and after, and you show evidence of communication. The before and after, I'm going to say this at the end as well, but one of the things that students seem to do each time we do this is that they make all the changes and then they realise they've got to show the before, and they haven't got the before because they've made changes to it. So it might be worthwhile straight away making a copy of before, making a copy of your wireframe, and then calling it after, so you've got two separate ones, because you're going to be showing one against the other at the end. That's your evidence. I hope that makes sense. If not, shout at me in the comments. Right, okay, good. So that is that's the overview. So the marking guidance I've split down a little bit more, and I'm just going to go through this probably 2 or 3 more times with a bit more detail, with more granularity each time. So first of all, the evidence is going to be in the form of screenshotting emails. So that's going to be, do you remember I bullied you all into sending the client emails at the start, introducing yourself, all that sort of stuff. So all of your communication with the client, your emails, you will screenshot. So that's the first thing, because don't forget, they're looking to see we've run this thing properly, and we have, because we've run this as a simulation. You have been writing to the client, and you've established a relationship with the client early on. So all of your communication with the client will have to go into M3. It's a key thing, and this is the part of the vocational element. Secondly, identifying the adaptations. So at the end of P4, you've been given some changes to make, adaptations. That's what they're calling it in the specification, and you simply need to write those down in your own words. And then the third thing there is, are there any implications? What do you have to do? Now, the changes that you are making will be quite straightforward. So, for example, if it's asked you to change the colour, it means that you will need to go and research the colours of, let's say, Manchester United, or you will have to go and find out how to change the boxes from squared edges to rounded edges. So you're going to be explaining what you're actually going to have to do in a greater level of detail. That's the implication bit, which in many cases is simply adding a sentence or two more than stating what you're doing. So I guess the implication is going to be how you do it. Does that make sense? Then you make the changes to your design, and then you document the changes with the before and after. And now I'm going to do this and go into just a tad more detail. So this is exactly what you need to do step by step. I'm 8 minutes in. This will be another 5 minutes. So evidence of communication. You have, so after receiving feedback, you've just done P4 and you have received feedback from the client, and the client's asked you to make changes or amendments after the pitch, and you should have had an email. If you haven't, let me know and I will chase it up, but you should have had an email from the client stating what the changes were. But either way, you do know what the changes are, because hopefully they will have been given to you at the end of your pitch. Next, list the changes and put those changes into your own words. That's all you've got to do there. You're then going to write back to the client, except this time when you write back to the client, write back to me. Then I, as the client, will look at it. I'm Justin. Now, this is the point at which, if you are not exactly sure about any of the adaptations you've been asked to make, or if you want clarification, this is the time to say, I've been asked to do this, but actually I think that this might work better. So if you want to negotiate with the client, because this is the negotiation paragraph, now clearly the client's seen your pitch, and that's what he's asked for. But you going back and saying, this is what you've asked me to do, is this actually what you want? I could do this for you instead. The I could do this for you instead paragraph you don't have to do, but this is where it would happen at this point in a normal business process, all right? So confirm the adaptations by sending that list that you've constructed, what we talked about before. You've put these changes into your own words. Not a problem. Send it back to the client and ask any questions that you've got. So that's writing back to Justin. Justin will write back to you. Client will write back to you. If anything you've said in your email isn't clear, the client will then ask for further clarification. But if you've done your job properly, the client will just say you'll be getting a very short email from the client saying, that's fine, go ahead, look forward to seeing it, which is what you'll get back. And then this is a job you've already done, but the moderator will be expecting to see a list of the adaptations, and use adaptations as a heading. So you've got adaptations, the things that you're going to change, put into your own words, that which you will have already put into an email to Justin. All right, so far so good. make the changes, and this is where you make the changes. Whatever you've been asked to do, you make those changes to your wireframe, or you make those changes to your documentation, whatever you've been asked to do, and you've all been given slightly different things to do. So everyone's response will be different here, and of course the changes that you were asked to make was based on the pitch that you were given. Some of the colour schemes didn't quite work, some of the choices of text weren't great, some of the screens weren't quite organised in the way that perhaps the client would have liked. So you've all had different feedback, and you've all had 2 or 3 different things to change. And then there's before versus after. So if you think about going back to, I can't remember which one it was. Let's have a look. This was going back to, someone help me out. D1. I got there first. I've got a 15-second advantage though. Remember in D1 where you did justify design decisions, and you showed the before and after there. So you're going to be doing exactly the same thing for this, all right? So this is before and after. Let's go back to here. And use screenshots. So my advice to you is take your wireframe, whatever you've been asked to change, and screenshot before. And so you've got before, and then you've got after underneath it clearly labelled. So you're showing the changes that you've made and presenting it really nicely. And that pretty much is, oh yeah, this is my reminder, I mentioned this earlier. The classic thing is people make the changes and then I say to them, well, where's the original one? And you go, well, by which time it's too late. So, boom, get that done first, because it'd be really annoying to have to then take your after and then work your way back to the before. I hope this messing around with the tenses isn't messing with your heads. So that's pretty much what you have to do. If you have got any questions, and let me try and quiz you. Let me try and get into, let's go to here and ask you, how do you feel? Oh, let's get me back. You may as well look at me. How do you feel about what I've just gone through? Does that make complete sense to you? Is that fairly obvious? You might be wondering why you're doing it. The headline is, it shows that you've had real negotiations with the client, and it shows that you've been able to adapt your design to fit the client's need. So the client's given a sort of a basic brief, you've responded to it, you've presented it to the client, and now the client's going to fine-tune what he or she wants, and you're going to respond to those requests. And you're going to show what you did before, what you did after, and you're going to show all the communication with the client to demonstrate that you've done this properly as a simulation, rather than us telling you exactly what to do, which we haven't. So it's fine, and you've all got different things to respond to. So that is it. I have lasted, I did say 15 minutes. That is unlike me to actually be, to not talk for too long. So the comments are looking empty. Can I ask you, could you say good if you've got it, or not sure, or no idea what you're talking about, I wish I'd stayed in bed? How are you feeling about these, about what you have to do for M3? I'll let you stick your comments in there, but do let me know whether that all makes sense. It certainly makes sense to me. Okay, we've got good, we've got good. If you are struggling, just email me, ask me, and I can go through it. Okay, hi Jamie. Good, everyone seems to be cracking on with it. That's brilliant. I suppose the other thing to do before I go, and this isn't an excuse to talk for longer, I've still got 60 seconds, is to talk to you about what is coming up after this. Let's have a look at this one here. Here we go. So you can see we have just done M3. The next one is P5, which is simply submitting your prototype. So you know the wireframe that you've pretty much created, firstly in P3 with your diagrams, and then later you grew it a bit to do for your presentation in P4. You're going to submit that. I would like you to do some hyperlinking of to use transparent text boxes to hyperlink the buttons, just to make it more snazzy. But that's all that P5 actually is the prototype, which you've pretty much done. After that, we've got P6, which is, it's almost a rerun of what you've just done, except the purpose of P6 is for you to learn how to make questionnaires. And we're going to, one of the reasons I extended this to next term is that it's actually really worth learning how to do questionnaires properly, because learning how to press the buttons to make a questionnaire in Google Forms is really easy. But what we found when we first ran this course is that people were making questionnaires, but the questions didn't make any sense. And at the end of it, they didn't have the information they needed. So the purpose of the questionnaire is for you to learn how to gather information, which is one of the learning outcomes of the course. And you'll make a questionnaire, you'll give it to your peers, to your colleagues, to your fellow students. They will fill it out, and you from that will take some improvements. And then if you look after P6, the next one is D2, which is then analysing those improvements from the questionnaire and making the changes, so doing the before and after again. So you are nearly there. And like I say to you, all of you guys here, you are all in pretty good shape. So if you want to get this done earlier, that is fine. And if you want to clear the decks and go into the summer having done all of Unit 6, to be honest with you, given what you've produced so far, it's not going to be difficult. So that's it. All right, 16 minutes, so I have done really, really well. Is there anything else that you would like to ask me? I've got everyone saying, hi, Daniel. It's funny how all of you guys who turned up today, your work has been really good. And I'm not just saying it, it's been a pleasure to mark. Any questions, any issues, anything? If not, I suggest that you go and melt somewhere. I'm sat in a room with lights pointing at me in a conservatory with a glass roof, and it is like being inside an oven. Right, that's me. Listen, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to do one of these next week, which will more than likely be a catch-up. But the requirement for you, did I say this has to be in by next week? Does that tally with my... let's have a look. I've said... Where are we today? Today is the 24th? Am I making it up? 24th of June today. So I've got task M5 by the 5th of July. Okay, 5th of July, which is that a Sunday? Let's have a quick check on my calendar. When is the 5th of July? Fifth of July is it is a Sunday, so yeah. So I've given you 2 weeks for this, haven't I? 24th. Yeah, I have. So you've got bags of time to get this in. You guys all happy? Can I leave you to it? Listen, it's been a huge pleasure. I will leave you to enjoy your day, and I will look forward to you getting that in. If you get it in earlier, I will mark it earlier. If you have sent it in, do me a favour and just drop me an email, because I've turned off notifications for Google Classroom, because it's just so horrible having my phone pinging each time something gets sent in. So if you sent it in, email me and I will have a look at it within 24 hours. All right? Have a good afternoon, guys. Bye-bye.